Which like and subscribe. This is the Nightly Fix, powered by Foolish Club Media. Please like and subscribe. Go to our YouTube channel and please like and subscribe. Remember, if you do not do so, I hope the next time your Uber comes that they last second your ass and tell you, oh, can't make it. You got to go in a different direction. And you got to find a whole new Uber all over again. So if you don't want to worry about that, just like and subscribe.
You know what's messed up? That happened to me when I was in Austin.
If you should have liked and subscribed. You should have.
I didn't. I was actually away from you guys, just enjoying my life a little bit, and I was leaving this little after party, and I was waiting on my Uber, and this girl was like, "Hey, I'm going your way. Do you want to hop in my Uber?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll hop in your Uber." And then the lady who was driving us was like, "I'm not making another stop." And I was just like, "What?" She's like, "I'm not making another stop." And I was just like, "Okay, well, Lindsay, where do you live?" And then she was like, "Well, I live all the way south and I'm going east." And like, it was just a whole thing. So she just dropped me off in the middle of the street and I had to wait on another Uber. And then that's when I got one of those automated vehicles, autonomous vehicles or whatever. And then I lost my bag in that motherfucker, dude. It's crazy.
Hey, if you hear that little story right there, just like and subscribe so you don't have to deal with it.
Yeah. And you don't want that to happen to you guys. They broke my Ray-Bans.
This is not a bowling shirt. This is a pajama set. I've got
comfy. Yeah.
I've got a short set too, Steve. This is shorts. Listen, I'm not a pajamas wearer. I go to bed in my drawers and that's it.
You don't wear a shirt or anything. I wear pants and shorts usually. Sometimes I take my shirt off.
I can't sleep in pants. I use
whole pants?
Like pajama pants.
Yeah,
okay.
During the summer, it's all short.
And that's why I wanted to get a short set. I've been seeing the short sets around, and then for old Father's Day, I slid into a nice little short set, and it's got a nice little feel to it. So yeah, man, I've been rocking it. It's
I like the stitching. The stitching's nice.
It's comfortable like a motherfucker. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, we need. Okay, here's what we need, guys. Here's what I see for the future.
Like Can I do it one more time?
Yeah, go for it.
It's comfortable as a motherfucker. Right.
A motherfucker. All right, guys.
All right.
Marketing strategy meeting, real quick, on the fly while everybody's watching. We got to get some monogrammed pajama pants for the Nightly Fix.
Hey, if they comfy, if they comfy like a motherfucker like these, I'm in them.
And we can get some silk ones, you know what I mean?
Hell yeah. And then play silk in the background.
And then on the back, it'll say, comfy as a motherfucker.
Okay. I was going to say meeting in my bed. I got you. But comfy, let's stick
Would
to
you
it.
meet me in my bedroom?
Next time you have a night, Steve, put that on for old UNO Aaron. See if that gets it going. A little silk, meeting in my bedroom. Try that. Just throw that on repeat. Steve probably throws on fish and just lets it ride. By the way,
we have a very diverse catalog of music for those kinds of nights.
No, I feel like. What are your thoughts on Elliott Smith in the bedroom?
I like Elliott Smith. I don't think it's something I would ever think about playing in that moment, but
hey, you never know.
I should try it.
You
I feel like I've seen Wes Anderson do it.
You play Peebo Bryson. I can feel it. I can see it in your eyes. You're a Peebo Bryson guys. So that food, Steve said, we've got a very wide catalog for nights in the bedroom for nights like that. Like, shut up. You call it a wide.
What's the playlist called?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I do have some playlists, which I introduced Aaron to not that long ago. One of them's called The Smooth.
Oh,
the smooth.
What's on the smooth? Give me a couple of from the
It's
smooth.
a lot of stuff, and really,
we got time. Pull up that.
Really, only the
Spotify.
first few songs actually made any sense, and then the rest of it is just me being drunk and like adding songs to a playlist or something.
My man said the smooth.
The smooth. Hey.
Mine's in honor of UGK. Let me see it.
Hey, oh my God! What
And
the hell are you doing in the bedroom?
It starts off with, let me see it.
Mad Sounds by the Arctic Monkeys.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever heard that song. It's the best Arctic Monkey song. Very romantic, like very, very loving, intimate.
I feel like if I were to play Arctic Monkeys in like a sex playlist, what's that one? Do 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 do.
Yeah, that's like
you know that one.
I remember the name.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about.
Is better.
Okay, my bad.
Damn.
When the Truth Is by Hamilton Lighthouser. Another very intimate song.
You lost me on that one, brother.
I'm losing it this
Bumper by Colts. Also,
okay, Colts. I like them. Okay.
Are they from Indianapolis?
And after that, it just starts like making zero sense as far as like a romantic playlist goes. We typically just kind of go back and forth,
and that's called the smooth, right? Okay.
The Wonder of You, which is an Elvis cover by a band called the Villagers, which is very nice.
Good. You have to each his own. Do your thing. I'm more of a t-shirt and their panties on type of fella.
T-shirt and no panties on.
We rolled through. But real quick, congratulations to the Florida Panthers. They have just now won back-to-back championships, Stanley Cup championships, and they beat Edmonton, and the people of Edmonton have to be sick to their fucking stomachs because the people in Miami mostly don't give two shits about this, and it is everything in their life in Edmonton, Canada.
Not to mention the state of our country, and especially a place like Florida.
Yes, to Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, it is everything. Yet again, still, no one from Canada since 1993 has won the Stanley Cup championship. They've got the best player in the sport in Connor McDavid, and they care. They live for this. There are so many people in Miami who don't give a shit about this and may not even be aware that it has occurred. I'm not saying all, but many don't. And those people in Edmonton may not go to work tomorrow or may just not get shit done. And now they got to sit here and watch the hockey capital of the world be in Miami, Florida.
Well, that's what they get for being Canadians, man. I don't know. It's just
that's a great response.
Yeah, hey, I'm just saying that's what they get
for being
Canadian. That's exactly what the hell I said, and I stand on it.
Clearly,
you know, those maple loving, super kind, friendly people. You know, maybe you shouldn't make hockey the national sport. Maybe you should find something else, something that we're not that good at.
They might want at least when it comes to the Stanley Cup portion of this, like they might not want to. Now there are several Canadians on this Florida team that's helped them win this, but
well, of course.
But yeah, tough. Congratulations to them for 2 in a row. That's hard to do in hockey. Hard to do. So they got a little mini dynasty going. To me, they got to win one more to be a dynasty. You got to have 3 at least to be a dynasty. So, but congratulations.
3 straight finals. But back-to-back cups.
I don't think they've been to 3 straight finals. Look that up.
3 out of 4. I feel like they've been to a lot of them.
They won their first one last year. I think Tampa won it the year before, so they didn't make it.
I wonder if that's how other countries feel when it comes to like Olympic basketball. Like they send all their greatest players over here, and then during the Olympics they kind of go back, but we just still spank them. You know what I mean?
Except for that one year when Argentina, and Manu Ginobili went off and ran through the United States. But outside of that, yes.
This is their third straight Stanley Cup finals, but they lost to the Vegas Golden Knights in 2023.
Did they?
What is with all these places that don't seem like they have the like ecological sustainability to have like an ice rink and to have hockey, you know what I mean? Having hockey teams that are fucking killing it.
So they beat the Oilers in back-to-back years.
Yeah, Connor McDavid. Yeah, they beat old grab ass back-to-back years. They did. Good for them.
Sorry about it, Canada. Sucks to suck, bro.
1993. They're gonna have to still wait.
Florida.
By the way, the number one thing right now in sports that's trending is not my pajamas and your robe. It is Caitlin Clark.
Baby girl.
Caitlin Clark. So uncomfortable when you do that. Caitlin Clark is trending, and she is making many men, particularly white men, lose their minds and become protectors through this piece. If you're one of them, I'm sure it's coming from a good place, but it is a little electric right now. If you missed it, they beat the brakes off the Connecticut Sun, who are terrible, but they beat the hell out of them. But in the game, it was, if you watched most of the game, and I'm not going to sit there and lie to you and tell you I watched most of the game, but I did watch most of the highlights that showed the game in a short version, and it was a testy game. It was one of those games where a physical game where they were pushing the edge. Both teams were pushing the edge. The Fever and the Sun were pushing the edge. There were technicals being called until they got up to this point. And Caitlin Clark got into it with just damn near about the whole team, and ended up with multiple texts, including Caitlin Clark. Get what you got this video. Let's see what has led to Caitlin Clark trending right now.
Issue for Connecticut, just 4.
Okay, that's a part of it.
Lead for the Fever.
There we go.
Midway point, third quarter. Sheldon all over Clark, and they get into it a bit here.
Ooh.
Lexi Hall now gets in Sheldon's face. Caitlin Clark hits the deck.
What are you doing to my baby?
And just want to make
Big
sure
Ten against Big Ten, Ohio State and Iowa.
And just to
Both
make
of
sure,
the same draft class last year.
just to make sure it was the white woman, number 3, not the black young lady, which it could look like, and I'm sure that would make it and take it to a whole nother level. It was not Tina Charles, former UConn Husky. It was the white lady, number 3, who is seen just walking off, who just came and just hit her with that good hard chest to knock her down on the ground. And then that one that you were about to play, Serda, somebody then later driving to the lane from the Fever, Sophie Cunningham just took this broad out. I mean, just grabbed her, just wouldn't even let her get down. I mean, and here they go. And here we go. Caitlin's not even involved. We're not seeing this one make the rounds as much because it doesn't involve Caitlin. And
they're scrapping though. Look at them scrapping.
This is they getting into it now. I've been here at a point since Caitlin arrived in the league, fellas, to where I did think there were some moments, especially with some of the stuff that happened with the Chicago Sky the first year. I did think they were testing her and being physical, not unlike what I think will happen to Cooper Flagg in the NBA next year. I think people will test him physically and bump him and do stuff to him as he gets to the league. But I did think they were testing her physically. I even thought last year the Kennedy Carter thing, where I thought she just really cheap shot at her, and then Angel and some of the bench were celebrating over there. I did think that was across the line. But now, when I see this and I see some of the people, a lot of people who are making comments on this, see, don't you understand who she is? These women are the dumbest women in the world. Don't you understand? She's the only reason why they watch the sport. Come on, we're the one that's most respectable. Where are her teammates? By the way, where are her teammates? Did I go shove somebody? later we saw Sophie Cunningham just drag that girl down on that layup attempt. But so many of the WNBA is rigged against her. If you don't think that Caitlin Clark, that people in the WNBA doesn't have it out for Caitlin Clark, watch this. She's the moneymaker. Why are they doing this? Fellas, and Osita, even I think you know this from your younger years of basketball. Serda, Osita, that happens at every level of basketball. I'm not saying every game, but that is not an out of ordinary experience. That is not something where we see, as her coach said, hey, you got a lot of passionate, aggressive, competitive women playing. And if the officials aren't going to grab control of the game, they're going to keep playing physical and stand up for their team. We see this in the NBA all the time. We see physical games all the time. We see shoves, we see pushes, we see hard fouls. That was a hard foul that should be a flagrant on the girl from the Sun, number 3, who came and chested her. And maybe another foul, maybe another one on the girl who hit her in the face early. I do think there was a bit of a flop there. You know when you watch guys that are ladies in the league and they get hit and they'll lay on the ground like they've been hit in the face just to sell a call. I think Caitlin had a little bit of that.
LeBron when he starts peeking to see if anybody saw him.
LeBron does it. Every single player in the NBA does it. A lot of women in the WNBA do it. It is what happens in the league. But this ain't this was what happens in basketball. This was not a damn it, they hate Caitlin's ass and they want her ass and they're taking her out. And they're taking her ass. That's not what this was. This was ball. They're competitive. And yes, those women aren't out there thinking, this right here is the meal ticket. So let's not be competitive against her. So let's not do anything against her because she's the reason why that, which really, I'm not saying she is the absolute reason why the WNBA has gone to the level. She is the number one singular reason. I think there are other reasons. I think the game has grown. I think the product is better. But I think she is the number one singular person that has grown the game to this. But she ain't the only reason why people are watching. I think that is unfair. Is she the reason why the numbers are to where they are? Sure. But I don't think she's the only reason why people are watching. So I think that's unfair. But two, like, this is ball, man. This happens in the NBA all the time. And when LeBron James was the face of the league or Steph Curry was the face of the league, nobody would dare, none of those men would dare say, hey, what are these guys, crazy? What is that, Patrick Beverly nuts? Why would they hit him like that? Don't you know he's the biggest reason why people watch the sport? He's the reason why this Pacers Thunder series isn't 30% under the viewing numbers and ratings that we've normally been accustomed to. No, none of them would say that. Not a one of them. They would. Hell, they'd say that LeBron was soft, or they'd say Steph was soft, or they do that. Nobody went over there and tried to pick up Michael Jordan when the Pistons went and fouled him hard and said, "Here, come here. Let me hold you, Mike. Let me pick him up. Let me pick him up. They have it out for him. The whole league hates him. Oh, Mikey. Nobody did that. Hell no. Y'all didn't do that when Allen Iverson's ass was getting taken out on the ground. Y'all didn't say, oh, little Allen. Oh, little AI. Oh, let me help him up. Don't you guys touch him. Don't you touch him. He's a savior. Nobody did that. But stop doing it to Caitlin. Silly. This is ball. As I said, I think some of the stuff with the Chicago Sky last year was across the line. But this here, we see in the NBA all the time. All the time. And what's it going to do? What's it going to do tomorrow? It's going to lead all the shows. And this time it ain't going to be as bad. It ain't going to be as good of a lead for some of these folks because it's a white woman who is the one who hit her in the face first and then chested her down to the ground.
Well, okay. Okay. I do agree with what you said on the fact that like she is not the only reason why people are watching it. So to say that is a bit unfair to the rest of the women that are, putting in hard work. But the fact that people do assume that, I feel like you can assume that that's some of the thought process that some of these women might have while they're playing her. And there could be a little bit of jealousy towards her from the other women because of the fact that she is getting so much stardom and starlight. And mind you, I may be biased because obviously I'm in love with her. That's my baby girl. You know what I'm saying? I love Clayton Clark.
I don't really buy it, but go ahead.
It's okay. It's not for you to buy or for you to like. It's for me to confess my love on the internet where hopefully maybe she can see it one day. And one day I can be a future jersey chaser. All right. That's my plan. Anyway.
Jersey chaser.
But for it's not foreign that I feel like those things do happen, but that kind of that push did seem malicious, man. That's a shove, bro. That was a full-on shove.
Yeah, but it's
what happens if she would have? What happens if she would have like dislocated her shoulder or something like that right then and there?
Yeah, but it was a hard foul. It was a hard dust up. But is that foreign to you in sports? Like, is that foreign to you in basketball?
It's not foreign to me. Look. When I was in high school, I switched high schools, right, from freshman year to sophomore year. First day of high school, I'm in PE playing basketball against some kids. I'm killing them. I'm fucking killing them. I'm way taller than everybody else. I'm making all the layups, making all the shots, whatever. All of a sudden, this kid jumps on my back to try and stop me. He jumps on my back, slaps me in the face. I freak out, buck up, drop him on his back. I immediately get into a fight right then and there. I get suspended for 3 days. Like, when someone like fouls you like that with intention because they think that you are that much better than them, or because you are doing that much better than them, because you are deemed unstoppable in that moment, that frustration is real. Like, and we didn't show the press conference afterwards where she's like honestly handling it pretty well, because I would have been flipping the fuck out. Like, you're not just gonna shove me like that, bro.
Well,
like,
but she's handling like that because, yes, I don't think she wants to be shoved like that, but she's handling like that because it's basketball. And she's done it with a lot of this other stuff. Like, to me, what that was, Osita, was, and again, I also think it's unfair to automatically believe that young lady came up there and shoved her due to her being better than her.
So what do you think that shove was for?
Oh, I personally, if I look at it, I think that shove was because Caitlin, first off, again, as I said, this game was really up to that point. This game was testy. Like, both teams, that was not the first time like there had been situations. If you listen to the coach, if you listen to Caitlin's coach, she said, yeah, it was a physical game all game. The teams were kind of going at it all game, and the officials didn't really gain control of it, and they were going back. So this was a game that was high intensity and wasn't the first time it was a brush up. And if you look at it, Caitlin gets hit in the face, which, as I'm going to say, I think she was selling the call, which I got no problem with. That's what you do. She was hit in the face. And then if you saw Caitlin turn and pushed the girl who hit her in the face, I think that girl came up to defend her teammate. I don't think she came up to shove her because Caitlin is the best player or is the most talked about player in the sport. I think she came up because she saw her push her teammate, and she came up to be there for her teammate, in which what should have happened was Aaliyah Boston or Sophie Cunningham or whoever else was out there for the Fever should have shoved that girl. And then, as we saw later, Sophie Cunningham just absolutely didn't make a play on the ball and just took that girl out when she was trying to make a layup to send a message, right? So, like, that's where I think right there, and right there, that fault, I think there are men out there that believe that. I'm not saying 100% that doesn't happen, but I think it's a slippery thing, Serda and Osita, to walk out there and think these girls are coming into the game so pissed and jealous that their thought is, I want to fuck her up. I think there is some jealousy and some thought is, all right, I'm gonna light her ass up. When I mean light her ass up, I mean points. I'm gonna show her. I know this is a TV game. I know people are watching, and I'm gonna prove to you she ain't the only one. That's not foreign. There are people in the league who, when they play the Lakers or when they play the Warriors or when they play the Celtics and they see Tatum and they see Brown and they see LeBron and they see Luka and they see Steph, that they want to bust their ass and prove that they are as good as them. But it don't necessarily mean they come into the game saying, all right, man, I'm going to undercut that son of a bitch the first chance I get. I'm going to come over there and blindside that son of a bitch just the first chance I get. I don't think that one's fair. That one looked to me, Serda, like what I see in basketball. A retaliation, a teammate coming up to retaliate.
Yeah.
That's what that looked like, but it's going to get blown out of proportion of the league hates Caitlyn, and they're doing this only because it's Caitlyn. This is what a lot of the women say. If you watch the other games, it is just this physical. This shit happens all the time, Osita. They just don't show it because it's not Caitlyn in it. It happens all the time in the WNBA, this physical play.
Yeah, and it becomes a thing because she is so big and she's just got so much more star power than literally everyone else.
That is accurate.
But and I think there's also something to the physical stature of Caitlin Clark, but also you don't really see dudes just taking Steph Curry out in the NBA. LeBron will get hit hard and there's physical fouls and things like that, but also LeBron's just bigger, stronger, and faster than most players.
Yeah, but again, sort of I can send you a highlight of Steph and LeBron getting hard fouls.
Yeah,
sure. Caitlin's not getting,
but it is this yes, that's going to happen. Basketball is a very physical sport. That's why a lot of people are in the NBA, dudes just aren't built to play it because those guys are bigger and stronger than literally everyone you've ever met in your life. They're insane athletes. And then WNBA, they're incredible athletes. And this is a physical game, and this is a common occurrence in this kind of sport. And it's really, at the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal. It's different if, a player goes and takes out her knee or something like that.
Or do what Osita said, slaps me in the face.
Yeah.
Punches her in the face.
Legitimately, yeah. Ron Artest style, starts swinging. It's different when there's blatant physical violence, but scraps happen in sports. It's really not that big of a deal, but we're all overreacting to it and we're all reacting in real time to it. And it's all, the world is out to get Caitlin Clark when it's really just this is sports. This
is competitive ball.
Happens all of the time because these people are at the peak of their profession, and it gets physical and it gets egotistical and you get angry and emotional. It just happens. We see it happen all the time in professional sports.
And the part that really blows it for me, fellas, is the thought of hey, man, don't you know her value? So you should approach her differently. Don't you know her value? Don't you you should approach that part? That part blows it for me. What kind of competitor what kind of competitor out there does that? Nobody from the Buffalo Bills gives a flying fuck about the value of the league of Patrick Mahomes. They trying to beat that dude. They don't care. And to expect hey, you know who she is.
Hey, yeah, that is kind of
that's the part. Don't you know she's the only reason that people are watching you? So I should approach her different. That's the part. That's the part that blows it for me.
Especially because sports is definitely ego driven, right? You have to have a big ego because you've spent your life proving yourself, proving that you're great, proving that you're probably one of the best. And to sit there and say that me, who's been working my entire life, is not as good as her, who's been working her entire life, and I should be careful for this person, who's supposed to be doing the same amount of training as me and stuff like that. It's like, nah, man, fuck all that. Like,
Yeah,
I'm trying to win
she's the
because
golden
I'm
goose.
good. Yeah.
She's the golden goose, and I need to take care of the golden goose. No, but we've never asked anybody to do that in sports.
But
Like Michael Jordan was clearly the golden goose. The Detroit Pistons tried to injure him, it seemed like at times.
But I do think that there is legitimately to this, like, it's like the media, which predominantly male, like it is well documented that it's been very tough for women in the media industry to find careers and let alone like move up and find success and not have to deal with like sexist, dumb people constantly like harassing them over and over again for whatever it is. And like finally, there's this generational player that is bringing all of these eyeballs to a sport that, whereas like traditional male media members just simply were not sitting around watching a lot of women's basketball, and now they are because of Caitlin Clark. And so all of a sudden, there's still like this weird like male mentality of like, oh, Caitlin needs someone to stand up for her, and Caitlin needs somebody to like speak up for her because the way she's being treated isn't right. And it's like, no, like she's taking her lumps like every other star athlete does when they come into the league. And when people have been in the league for a long time and they've fought through everything and they've gone through all this, they want to teach you a lesson when you're the young superstar player. Like that's how sports are. Like that's how they've always been.
I'm serious when I say this. And I'm not just lobbing this out there. I am legit. If you don't have an answer, you don't have to have an answer. And those of you on the chat, you can jump in on this too. If it is not, because what Serda just described was there's a clear protection of Caitlin Clark to some male sports fans that we have not seen with other athletes. And if like there is a protection, there is a level of protection, like coming to the defense, the aid to protect her. And if it isn't a race thing that loads a lot of that want of protection, because Maya Moore was sensational. These men weren't running to protect Maya Moore, right? Diana Taurasi, they weren't running it. So I'm legit asking, what if it isn't the race thing that brings this protection from so many men of Caitlin Clark? What is it? What would it be?
I think
if it isn't
I
that,
was thinking about that when you first, because you said protect like very like when you first started your take, and I thought that was an interesting use of word, because I do feel like there's a natural sense from men to want to protect, but it's usually for people that they feel closer to. And I feel like, and like I said, I don't really know, like I wasn't around for Diana Taurasi or whoever the hell you said before that, but this might be the most liked player, as far as the WNBA is concerned, like people, the person that people feel like the closest to. So I think that might be why you're kind of seeing more men saying like, they want to do the protecting thing, because this is the first time that they've had someone that they're just like really about, does that make sense?
But she's the only one that they want to protect,
because she's the only one that they really know about.
And how do they know about it? Again, I'm because what you're saying sounds like it's leading into the I can relate to her race thing, because they're not able to.
No, I don't think it's a race thing. I think it's just because she's the one that they've put forward as the face of the league. She's the one that they put forward as the face of
they've put forward themselves.
They've put her forward, but also there's a natural, because of how she plays and how good she is and how much sensationalism there is behind her, she's gotten this like new kind of like celebrity thing within the past couple of years. Like when you think at WNBA, you really do think,
oh, it's Caitlin
Clark.
But
You know what I'm saying? So like you think Caitlin Clark, but like this is like a level that I don't think we've ever seen before as far as people really paying attention to a WNBA star.
Let me flip this, and I'll throw this to you first, Serda, and Osita, you could jump in on this. But Serda, do you think that when Juju comes into the league, she will have this protection? That there would be a feel of protection for Juju?
No, she's gonna be a star,
and she's a star. Like Juju is a star.
Gonna be a star to people that really like the WNBA. She's not going to be a star on the level that Caitlin Clark is.
Because what I'm saying is, in college, she has been building to that.
But it is
college,
it is growing. Like their audience is growing. Like
her freshman year, sort of at USC, they were like Snoop. Art, like people were coming and selling out. Like we knew about Juju. I knew about Juju before she arrived at SC. There's not a lot of college women's basketball players that I knew about before arriving. I knew about Caitlin in like year 2 at Iowa. Like Juju is somebody that Juju's been on commercials since she was a freshman in college. Like Juju is a star that is building, and her game is something, as we talked about earlier this week, that can match Caitlin. But I'm with you, Serda. I don't believe that these same guys that have built this protection, and as we're saying, if it has nothing to do with race, I don't believe the same guys that are building this protective feel for Caitlin will then turn around and have the same protective feel of Juju. And Juju's not Angel. If you want to put like they're both just black, but their personalities are completely different, and their game's completely different. I don't know that I believe Juju will get that. So I agree with everything you said, Osita. I'm having a hard time not seeing that slide to the race element of what got them in the door to be that way towards her. I want to say to myself, well, maybe they're protecting, her greatness. Like she's so great, and she may be the greatest thing we've ever seen in that sport. That's why they're protecting her. But there have been some great women in that sport. Go ahead.
Maybe they're just all in love with her like I am.
Maybe. I'm just flipping it. And I remember, and we talked about earlier, the person she's most comparative to, and it's Tiger. I remember the people who became very protective of Tiger Woods when he started becoming a mainstay in golf. I know who they were. They were a bunch of new people that came to the sport, just like these same guys I'm talking about are new that just came to the sport. And I can tell you exactly why they were protective of him. Because he was a black dude in that sport. And they felt like he was their guy. He was their dude. He was somebody that looked like them, that went in there and dominated a sport that people that look like them ain't supposed, or us, as I would say, ain't supposed to dominate. I know why and I can tell you it was purely race of the droves of people who came to the sport knew and why they were protective of Tiger. Even when Tiger wanted to tell you he wasn't black. So it feels the same way on the other side. So we got to get to this. I know we will get to it. Everybody loves Big O's heat check. We will get to that in a bit. But I have to bring this conversation, and no better two people to bring this conversation to than to you two fools. Earlier today, my other job. Sometimes Tyler is on here on the chat commenting on our show. He listens at night, works with me during the day.
What up, T Mills?
We're in the middle of a segment today, and Steven Serda used to be one of the kings of this, and what we used to call hijacking a segment with just a comment, maybe a phrase, maybe a statement, maybe just a take out of nowhere. And Serda was really good at it because he knew exactly what could throw me off and would make me not recover to whatever it was that I had planned on talking about. And then we'd move off for 30 minutes. And I would swear Steve would do it on purpose at times. I don't know if Tyler did it on purpose, but I don't know how we got to talking about certain music, about to talk about running backs. And we got to talking about certain music. And I said something just in passing, said something about the Beatles, said something else, said the Beatles. And he said, "Oh, the damn Beatles. You got to be kidding me. They're the most overrated band in the history of music." And I just said, "Hold on, man." Like I just said, you can't say the Beatles are overrated. And then a little bit later on, somebody texted in and said, "Yeah, I think Nirvana's overrated." And Tyler said, "Yeah, you know, I could see. I think maybe they've gotten a little too much credit, and maybe I could see a little bit of Nirvana being overrated." So in I'd say 7-minute period, he said Sergeant Pepper's and Abbey Road and all of that comes with the Beatles. He said they're overrated, and then said both, mind you, both of these bands have albums in the top 10 of the Rolling Stones 500 last time I checked. Nirvana and the Beatles. And he said they're both overrated. So you two are my music snobs that I know. I thought it was asinine. My biggest point of reason was it feels like to me, especially with the Beatles, and I think Nirvana too, and even for me, Nirvana's a little bit ahead of me. My time, I wasn't really rocking things and rolling in 92 and 93. But it feels like to me with those guys, you had to kind of be there. And if you wasn't there, I feel like it's hard for you to say they were overrated. They're overrated. They were a moment or the moment to me in music. Nirvana was in the early 90s where they flushed the toilet of bands like Poison and Whitesnake and Bon Jovi and all that and just punched and changed music right there and then brought an entire new scene. I'm sure you guys can say the bands. I may have them wrong. Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, these bands out of that scene and that grunge scene that came behind them. And then everything I've heard is the Beatles, they damn near connect with everything. I just found that just crazy to think that someone would be like, "Yep, I wasn't there listening to the music or in there in that time, but I think the Beatles and Nirvana are overrated." Just feels aggressive to me.
So I'll say this as somebody who isn't a massive Beatles fan. But also knowing as much as I do about music, I fully understand how influential and impactful the Beatles were on music and everything that like they brought to the table and like helped change. And like I've never really ridden with Paul all that much, but I do like John Lennon a lot, and I like George Harrison a lot. Like George Harrison's solo stuff is amazing. All Things Must Pass is maybe like one of my favorite albums ever. And again, I'm still not even like a diehard Beatles fan. But then like also Nirvana, like you can just not be into grunge, but Nirvana defined the early 90s and like what would later shape like what we think of as like 90s music and like the whole grunge era and everything that like came after that. And like they defined an entire decade of music, and that's something that's really difficult to do. Like
We never saw hair bands again. Like that never came. Like there's not even, or maybe there are.
You could just not like their music, and that's fine. And I'm not even going to say that I'm like a giant Nirvana fan, but I've listened to a lot of Nirvana. I respect Nirvana. Like I understand the impact that they had and what they did. I don't like getting into conversations about like overrated bands because especially when it comes to that, it's just generally because people don't like that. I don't know. Maybe Tyler likes Nickelback. I think they fucking suck.
I think he does.
But there's a lot of people that really like Nickelback. I'm not here to try to chastise you for your taste in music. Doesn't Nickelback and the Beatles
like, feel different to overrate?
Yeah, but like they're actually like talented musicians. Like I don't think Nickelback is like, I don't think they're a group of talented musicians and artists that I respect. Sorry. Like
you didn't have to take out.
They're better at guitar than I am.
Okay.
I'm just saying, okay, look.
I don't know what to do.
My thing about Nirvana is about the Nickelback thing. To say that they're not talented musicians means that they didn't give up their life to completely learn and master an instrument to be able to play whatever shitty songs they have written over and over again, night after night, on the road around the world. That takes a lot of talent, that takes a lot of skill, that takes a lot of time that they put into the said craft, right?
I think they get such a bad rap.
They do get a bad rap, but I really don't fuck with them, but they still get a bad rap because like I said, they
Creed too.
They did their thing. You know what I mean? They're able to perform on a really high level all the time, which isn't, you can't really say that for a lot of people, you know? Nirvana. I like Nirvana. But my problem with Nirvana is that, like Steven said, they kind of completely defined a generation of music. And that generation of music that they defined, their definition was it's okay to sound like shit. And that kind of made me mad for a really long time in my life. Because like, if you look at the progression of music, you were saying like hair metal and all these things were going on before, right?
Yeah.
Hair metal is like really technically proficient, sweeping solos, crazy guitar licks, crazy guitar tones. And then these guys come in and they do grunge, which is
more rustic.
Just loud and kind of fast and mostly loud. You know what I mean?
Ooh, I don't know that I agree with that.
But they weren't very proficient at their music. Everything after that, you didn't really have to be that good at your instrument to play grunge. It's kind of like punk rock. You don't really have to be that good at your instrument to play punk rock. Or like shoegaze. You don't have to be really that good to play shoegaze. You just have to have the right pedals. You know, I would liken it to like kind of where the rap industry is now, because before you had an emphasis on flow and mastery of your skill as like a rapper and prose and cadence and all these things. And now you have SoundCloud rappers and mumble rappers and everything after that kind of set off after like Lil Yachty, where you can just kind of get away with, you know, a hard beat and then just kind of saying whatever the fuck kind of bullshit on top of that.
That's interesting. You feel that way about Nirvana and those other bands. When I got out of my way of the what the fuck are they doing? They're just, and to hear like how they could master like the I'm coming out and I'm just kind of staying right here and I got a riff or whatever and I'm just kind of staying here and then I can just bam and I could just hit you and then I can come right back down
loud,
right
soft,
into
loud.
that. And I like that, I mean, that's, once I got out of my way, I felt like that ain't easy to do. That ain't easy to do. And I don't know. I maybe more than I do. I've never heard the it's okay to sound like shit. Like I've never heard.
But I mean, if you look at bands that came after Nirvana and stuff like that, it's like one of the bigger bands like Hum or Som or I mean any of the litany of just like these Seattle grunge bands.
I've
and
never
shit,
heard of those. Yeah.
they're all just like drony loud, and they play very loose, and that was it. Like they weren't like really technically proficient where they were like playing these crazy scales or doing a lot of composition to their music. It was just kind of like, oh, we're just playing for the vibe, for the feeling of like energy, for the feeling of anger and stuff like that.
Did you
Now,
feel like that's what Nirvana did though? Did you feel like that was Nirvana's music?
Nirvana is
Or were
like,
were they a bad imitation of that?
No,
now
I think
Nirvana
had tons of imitators.
imitators, yeah, for sure. Nirvana, in all honesty, like a lot of their shit is just like blues chords, which is 1-4-5, and I get it. And then it's just like I said, loud, just like with enough overdrive and distortion to make it cool. And then he also, I mean, but there is something to be said for like lyrically,
his lyrics were
he's
serious.
bar none. You know what I'm saying? Bar none.
He got to people.
Yeah, and he got to people, connected
And I
people
think
with
the
people in a
Beatles
certain
did
way.
too. I think the
And
Beatles did too.
That's definitely what it's all about. But like I said, my only problem with Nirvana, if that's what Tyler's talking about, is their technical proficiency. That always kind of like irked me. I was like, damn, they're fun. I get it. I like it. But like, I'm like, like I wish they were doing more with the guitar. Like I wish solos could be more fun. You know what I'm saying?
What about my point here? And this was my big point to Tyler on both, because you didn't really get into the Beatles. But my point with Tyler on the Beatles and Nirvana, they were such a moment in music that if you weren't there, I don't think it's there to understand it. Like right now, like I fuck around with people right now. Like
wasn't there when Bob Dylan was changing the folk scene, and Bob Dylan's one of the most influential musicians of my entire life.
I think it would be insane for somebody to say Bob Dylan is overrated because you listen to it now and maybe it doesn't hit. Like just like for me right now, I think we fuck around with it, but I think this little moment that Kendrick Lamar is in. This is a moment, right? And he has separated himself from all of the rap that you just talked about. Just like I think Nirvana separated themselves from all of those other
from the sound at the time,
other sounds, and even were so much better than the ones that tried to go around. They birthed others like Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, and all those bands, but then they were just so much better with others that tried. Like to me, I don't like Garth Brooks. That's not my get down. But I ain't foolish enough to understand that there was a moment, and he was a moment that changed not only that genre, but brought that genre into a completely different place of how it was viewed from what George Strait did, or from what even Johnny Cash did, or any other artist in country music. So that to me, I just feel like if you weren't there for acts like Bob Dylan or the Beatles or Nirvana, if you weren't there for those acts at that time to see the impact they had, I think it's hard to say that they're overrated. Just because you come back and you listen to their music now, and you're like, man, that ain't nothing. Like it's Elvis. Like you go back and listen to Elvis and say, well, that motherfucker, he wouldn't. No, if you wasn't there to understand the impact, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think that just like you should be more curious. Like you don't have to grow up in the era that the music came out and to like seek it out and to try to explore things. But like I think lyrics are huge. Like so for me, like yes, lyrics are impactful. Like lyrics are things that like I listen to and I enjoy. Like but like Aaron is very much more like listens to lyrics, searches for the meaning in the lyrics than like I am. I am much more I listen to the music. I let the music move me more than I let like the lyrics and the words move me more often.
That was the most fish
Like,
head thing I've ever
maybe,
heard you
yeah,
say.
and
Dude.
that's
like
and that's
I let the
probably- yeah,
music move me,
that's
and just
probably a fish thing. Like it probably legitimately is.
But I mean, but to what Serda's saying though, Osita, there are dudes that like beats. That
Yeah.
beats is what gets
And-
them, as opposed to
but, like,
the lyrics.
at the same time, like Bob Dylan's lyrics like changed me as a person, and like I've listened to thousands of hours of Bob Dylan's music, like, and so that's like at the end of the day, that's why I try not to judge anybody for their particular taste in music, because who the fuck am I to tell somebody how they're moved by something and how something makes them feel. And so I don't like saying anybody is overrated or telling anybody how they should feel about anything that they hear. But that doesn't mean that I don't have opinions about the music. Like that doesn't mean that I can't say like, well, there's reasons why I dislike this or why I don't like that stuff. But like we could all agree that two of the most influential bands that we've ever seen are the Beatles and Nirvana, whether you like them or not.
Yeah, I would say, like I said, like when you texted me earlier about that, I wanted to hear his reasoning behind it. Because if you have a sound reasoning behind it, sure, why not, dude? You know what I'm saying? It's just not for you. If you told me, yeah, I think the Beatles are overrated, like this is my take. I don't think they're overrated, but if I were to say they were overrated, it would be because I'm a Stones fan more than I'm a Beatles fan. And I feel like the Stones were more indicative of
I love the Rolling Stones.
Great rock and roll. Yeah, I fucking love the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Queen. I like Queen better than both of those bands.
But like I said, I want to hear a reasoning. I want to hear like why the person thinks that they're overrated, not necessarily that they just think it's overrated and that's it. Like at that point, you're just kind of like spitting it out just to,
But
just
see,
to say it.
Your argument, Osita, is like the Jordan LeBron argument. Like I'm more Stones, so I gotta ride the Stones.
Well, no, I mean I said I'm more Stones because they were more they're more my style of rock and roll, and like they were, to me, they were more indicative of 60s and 70s rock and roll than the Beatles were. The Beatles are more like, if I'm talking about like rock bands, like the Beatles are more like an almost easy listening, kind of like softish rock. Like there was like some really good composition, really, really good lyrically, but like I don't know, just I preferred the Stones.
That's what I know you prefer. That's what I'm just saying. They're
like changes. Like they started out as basically like that. What we had in the 50s, we had that kind of like soft, like mellow stuff, and then the guitar riffs and stuff started coming in, speeding things up. The Beatles were like the first big like pop band.
Yeah,
and they were like they were essentially a boy band of that time, and then they got famous really, really young, and then they learned more about music, experienced more about life, started doing drugs, and then they started getting more experimental and like changing their music a lot. Like there was eras of the Beatles, which I'm sure we would have gotten with Nirvana if it wasn't for the fact that Kurt Cobain died really young. Like we would have gotten different eras of Nirvana.
Yeah, we kind of saw how Dave expanded from the Foo Fighters, like how that kind of, even though that's a different band, but you can at the
God,
beginning,
I wish it hadn't happened.
You don't like the Foo Fighters?
I fucking hate them, dude, so much.
Like
Everlong is a cool song, but like besides that, dude, like everything else, I'm just like, this is just so dad rock. Like
I don't know. I don't. Anyway, but like at the beginning, I think you heard a lot more Nirvana feel to it. I heard Dave say it, like people were like, well, why don't you just keep playing this Nirvana? He said, well, hell, that's what I know. But then you saw it kind of expand over the years to where, they kind of took whatever that was up a notch. Obviously, he's a different person. But no, I just, for me, like, there are just movements. Like I said, man, if you wasn't there in 1998 for them 2 albums of DMX, if you just weren't there to feel that movement, that was a damn movement. You can't say that man's, if you wasn't there to hear how DMX just took over the rap world with those 2 albums he put out in 1 year. Like if you weren't there for that, you can't say somebody's overrated. And especially when you're talking about like they're just certain acts. Like you're gonna say Michael Jackson's overrated, man. If you weren't there when Thriller and that shit came out to see the impact of it, you can't say overrated. All right, this is gonna push it late, but let's do a little heat check.
All right, guys, I'll keep it quick. You guys brought up Steve Nash, and it made me think of a funny story that I heard about Steve Nash. I can't necessarily place where I heard it. I think it was a podcast somewhere, and they were pretty much talking about how Steve Nash had some baby mama drama back in the day, and I think it was like 2011, a little bit. So he had his wife who was impregnated, and as it turns out, the baby was not his, and the baby came out black. And when they tested the baby, he thought it was one of his other teammates, but it turns out it ended up being I think Jason Richardson, some shit like that.
No,
like ended up being like a whole other teammate that was on his team at the time, right?
They did play on the Suns together.
So I hear this, and I'm like,
I have never heard of this before in my life.
So when I heard this, I was like, damn, that's crazy. And I heard the term jersey chaser. Okay. A jersey chaser. For those who don't know, a jersey chaser is someone who isn't in it for you, the person. They're more in it for the fact that you're an athlete, for the fame, the money, and the clout, right? They don't necessarily see you as a human. They just see you as a jersey and the lifestyle that comes with it. So it's pretty much people looking for a famous athlete boyfriend or girlfriend.
Yeah,
so I have two things. Okay, how are we not talking about this when it comes to Bill Belichick and Travis Hunter? If we know that a jersey chaser is a thing and it's a commonplace thing that people are with these athletes for their money, how are we not talking about it when it comes to their relationship? And why is it all of a sudden a no-go, a no-fly zone when it comes to their relationship when it's a thing that has been happening over and over again in the past? Two, how can I become one for Caitlin Clark? Ideas?
First off, I'm looking into this. Supposedly, this is an internet rumor, and it is not true. And also, I'm looking at Steve Nash and the supposed kid. That is Steve Nash's child.
Is he's got some color to him?
No, that is Steve Nash's child. That kid looks like
I want to say to you, OC, that this is what we like to call the straw man argument right here. Like that is basically what the majority of people are doing with both of those situations. Both of those situations, the majority of people have the same take that you have. There is no fly zone. That is actually what everyone is saying about both of the women in those relationships.
Okay, I was talking about with you. With you.
How
is that? Why is that you a no-fly zone if you know that jersey chasers? I'm not talking to the rest of the internet. I'm talking to you, Ronald. You
got you. It's Ron. I listen for me. I don't know that those women are jersey chasers. Could they? Sure. I am not one that just automatically, without really having a lot of, just reasoning or to be looked at to say, yeah, man, that chick got bad intentions right there. That chick got bad intentions. They may. I think it's a little messed up to start just, all right, man, she ain't really into
Ron, you seem like the type that would see a girl or see somebody with crazy eyes, like obviously crazy eyes, and you'd be like, ooh, she's a sweetheart. She's a sweetheart.
No. I just think it's a little messed up to just automatically assume that these women are just in here for their money. Is it possible? Sure. But for me, no, I'm not just going to sit there and just say, yeah, man, she in it for it. She in it just for it. And not just, and in particular with both of them, especially with Belichick. Like, I also think Bill Belichick, if he is being taken advantage of, I think Bill Belichick is aware of it. I think Bill Belichick is receiving a service, and so is she.
It's providing a service, yeah.
So and that's my deal with the Belichick thing. Of, oh man, let's feel sorry for the Belichick thing. Oh, she's out there taking the bit. No, Bill's got his faculties. Shit, he ain't the first older guy we've seen mess with a younger chick, and even if it ain't about true love, we've seen that a lot. And for us to stop traffic with the thing. And I just think it's just like them two are really young. I'm not one to just sit there and say, you know what? She is just screwing Travis over. Now you I don't know, maybe you've been hurt a lot, or maybe you've seen some friends that have been hurt a lot, that have been screwed over by gold diggers or something. I just don't automatically assume that they're gold diggers.
I got trust issues, Ron.
Clearly, yeah.
I got trust issues.
Yeah, I just want to give people a shot, man. Just want to give people a shot. Ain't that right, Steve? Know what I mean? Feel me? Take us home, Osita.
All right, guys. Well, you know what? I'm honestly sick and tired of trying to tell you guys about my first time.
Just do it. Yeah, come on.
No.
I'm revved up.
This is not for you. This time is for me and Caitlin. Caitlin, if you're out there and you're watching this, know that I would treat you right. Whenever you get pushed down by these girls, I would have your back. I would do everything